The instructions on this question say write each expression in the form a times x to the n. What they mean is as a coefficient followed by a power. So power refers to the base and exponent together. And this terminology here, where a is an element of the integers, so my coefficient is an integer, that's a positive or negative whole number, and n is any rational number. That means my exponent can be a whole number or a fraction. Okay, so for part A, the first thing I need to do is change this from radical form to exponential form. My inside number, 8x to the fifth, gets written in brackets, and I use an exponent of 1/3 to show that the 1/3 applies not only to the x, but also to the 8. Now here's a step you don't need to show, but it might be helpful. 8 to the 1/3 shows that exponent being applied to the 8, and then I've got x, and I need to multiply those exponents together. 5 times 1/3, which is 5/3. Now when you have a number like this, 8 to the 1/3, you can actually solve that. It's 2, and x to the 5/3. So in this case, 8 to the 1/3, you can punch it in your calculator and say 8 exponent, use brackets, 1 divided by 3. Or the other option is to use the cubed root feature. You'll find that under your math button, cubed root of 8. So let's do the same thing in part B. 32x cubed is what I had originally, and the exponent is 1/5. The number out here, that 5, is my denominator. If there was a number out here, that's my numerator. If there's nothing, my numerator is 1. So again, the step you don't need to show would be 32 to the 1/5 as well as x. 3 times 1/5, which would be 3/5. And then solve the number if you can. So 32 to the 1/5, or the 5th root of 32 is 2 again. And this time I get x to the 3/5. Okay, so for part C, if there's no number written outside of the radical sign, what they mean is an exponent of 1/2. So a square root symbol and a 1/2 exponent mean the same thing. Now this would allow me to separate the 900 to the 1/2 as well as x to the 1/2. So I can take the square root of 900 to be 30, and I'll leave the x with the 1/2 since I can't solve that. Now in part D, I start to see multiple exponents. So originally I have x to the 5th, and that is all to the 1/3. Once I solve that, I'm going to multiply by x to the 1/3. So simplify your exponents in the first part here, x to the 5/3, and multiply that by x to the 1/3. So now it's just a simple case of multiplying powers with the same base. Write the base once, add the exponents. In this case, with the fraction there, I can actually reduce that 6/3, and I'd be left with x squared. E is similar to this. I've got the 2 out in front, x to the 1/2 multiplied by x to the 1/3. So I'll just write the 2 once, write the x and add your exponent. So it's 1/2 plus 1/3. The difference here though is that I need a common denominator. So in this case I would probably use 6. So 1/2 is the same as 3/6, and 1/3 is the same as 2/6. So that's just a little side note there of what I did in my head. So I've got 2x to the 5/6.